To the regularly scheduled public meeting of December 17, 2018 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and on the Township website. Please notify the Township Clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at Mayor and Council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Could everybody please stand for a salute to a flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Bruno, Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilman Cumming, Councilman Oman.
Here.
Council President DeSena.
Here. Reading a total bills list, none tonight. Approval of minutes, September 17, 2018 public meeting, September 17, 2018 conference meeting, September 29, 2018 special public meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno,
Here.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Could the record show Mr. Bruno's arrived? Report of the mayor being none tonight. Report of council none. At this time, do I have a motion to open the meeting to public discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno. Yes. Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. At this time, if anybody would like to address the council, we come up to the microphone and do so.
Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen.
I think everybody knows me. Most of you do. I'm Jim Joyce. I'm the president of the Bergen Amateur Radio Association, an emergency communication group. And I'm also the president of the Golden Seniors. So I got 2 hats, and I'm here for both organizations. One of the problems that we had at Portable Day and at the couple of other events were a little bit of communication problems. For example, during the parade, the head of the parade didn't know where the rest of the parade was, and a couple other things that we noticed. So we have decided to give you a gift. And the radio club purchased 6 Motorola handy-talkies.
Thank you.
They're UHF. They have a 5-mile range. They are battery powered, no special battery, no special charger, very simple to use, and they work good. Good 5-mile range, and we have 6 of them. And they're available for any group, anybody in the town who is running some kind of event and needs some communication. And they work great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll give you as a gift.
Thank you.
By the way, we're also the folks that donated the projector in the senior room. We also, the screen, and we also put the Wi-Fi in there for the seniors, which I understand you've now recently put some new Wi-Fi in.
For the whole building,
Yeah,
yes.
but we did it 4 years ago
Yes,
for the seniors.
you were ahead, yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Okay, now I'm changing hats. I brought my friend here, and everybody knows him. He's an American hero. No.
Needs no introduction.
He needs no introduction. Vito said.
Good evening, Vito.
Okay, the reason we're here is we've got a terrible parking problem when we have our meetings. We have our meetings twice a month on the second and fourth Wednesday. And I know the lot's kind of crowded out there, but And we have made some arrangements to get some people to park in other spots, especially for the handicapped people. There are only 2 handicap spots out there. Now, I know the mayor has discussed various different things, and I know we're talking about making some more room and moving some of the equipment out of there, and of course, that's great. But what I'd like to be able to do is to provide for guys like Vito, who like to come to the meetings and can't come. He comes here, there's no place to park. He can't park 3 blocks down and walk up. What I'd like to do is propose that we, just as maybe a short-term solution, on the days when we have a meeting, could we have a couple of the spots marked, please don't park here? I guess maybe a temporary handicap spot.
Mr. Joyce, can I ask another question really quick? Does the senior bus go pick up people on these 2 days?
The senior bus does pick up some people, right? A few of them. And it takes part of the problem away.
Okay.
But we still have people who do, who are still driving or are still coming up as.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure the
But
senior bus
yes, we
was
do have the
operating.
senior bus still doing
Okay,
that.
thank you.
But if we could get a couple of more spots, we'd like to do it. And Vito, I'd like to talk to you. But hey, one of the things, I don't know if you read the paper, but the town of, your town, you bought it? Carlstadt, just named the street after him.
Yes.
How about we name a parking spot?
No, I just want to say.
No parking, Vito only.
I just want to say a few words.
Go ahead, Vito.
We used to have maybe 150 members. Now we're down to maybe 100. You know, now, there's a lot of people, they come by themselves.
Jim,
and
can you
there's
just-
no parking spaces.
Can you just pull the mic?
Yeah.
Thank you, Vito.
And I know, I wasn't a cop or anything, but the first time you guys did it, you told the people to park from here, we had about 10 cars there. The next time I drove back, because I check up, you know, and there were street cars. And then the next one it was 4, and then it was only 3 or 4. But we need parking space. I feel very bad about some of the people. I could use a walk, I could do this and that, but there's other people, women. It's a disgrace to see a woman 90 years old or 80 years old walking up the hill and just by making it, you know what I mean? If you guys could get the people from the town, from here, to go park the cars someplace, like down there or someplace else, then it would help us out a lot, and we have more members. Sometimes we used to have hundreds, now we only get 80. And if people don't come to the meetings, if they see no parking space, they don't come to the meeting, you know? I mean, they're all old people, you know?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
didn't we get permission from our attorney to let our employees park in their lot during these days?
We did, I put the word out, it worked for like 1 or 2, and then I think it fell off the radar, so I'll have to reinforce it.
Well, what about if the
with-
seniors
with the-
parked at our attorney and we bus them over with the senior van?
Either will work. I prefer the employees park there. You know,
No,
so at
that'd
least we
be
can
the
do for our
easier solution.
seniors for 2 days a month.
If you
But
want to talk to Hayako, what's his name?
Yeah, we have
Kevin Lynch,
permission already.
I could talk to him myself, you know?
yeah.
I mean, it's just for some people. To me, I don't care. I could even crawl, but at least some of the elderly women, I see when they come into the place, you feel so sorry for them.
I saw one lady drive away, and when
Yeah.
she saw me, she opened her window and she said, "I can't attend the meeting because I can't park close enough to walk," and I felt terrible for her.
And the only thing I say, we only do about 6 hours a month. That's all, 6 hours a month.
Right, yeah, 2 days.
That's 2 days, from 11 to 2. That's all we wanted for,
Mr.
you know, if we could get to 11 to 2, that's all we wanted,
Yeah.
you know?
Is
And
that-
the people over there, some of them are walking, some are crawling. If you guys could help them out,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Mr.
We'll find a
Tolo, will we
way.
make sure the employees, we put this, some kind of system into a place where we send out an email?
Consider it done.
I gave a list of all of the days that
Yes.
we have a meeting to all of the people here, so, you know, police department, everybody else, so they know, and the DPW, everybody.
I want to ask a question. you're gonna have make maps, calendars.
Calendars, yes.
When are they going to be out?
Bernadette's been working very diligently on it. She hopes to get it to the printer by the end of this week. So we're hoping to have it out as close to January 1st as possible.
Are you gonna have the days that we have the meeting?
Yes, I already took
Yes,
care of that.
yes, yep,
Okay, that's all.
yep.
Yeah, that's as long as they get to do it,
Yep.
I don't care.
Reminders are great. I love my calendar.
Okay,
Yep.
that's all.
Thank you, Vito. Thank you,
Thanks for
Mr.
coming,
Joyce.
guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
And
guys.
thank you for the radio.
We'll keep these in the senior center, I'll make a log,
Great.
anybody can sign them out. There's a page, instruction sheet, very easy to use.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much.
Save a lot of time.
Okay, pal, thanks.
Thank you, Vito.
Would anybody else like to address the council at this time? Seeing no one, do I have a motion to close the public portion of the meeting?
So moved.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Ordinances, adoption, second reading. An ordinance authorizing the identification of abandoned properties and the establishment of an abandoned property list within the Township of Washington. Resolution number 18-356, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 18-20. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Would anybody like to come up and discuss ordinance 18-20? Seeing no one, do I have a motion to close public hearing for ordinance 18-20?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 18-20 its second reading by title.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Ordinance number 18-21, ordinance amending a bond ordinance of the Township of Washington and the County of Bergen, New Jersey, heretofore adopted on May 22nd, 2017, number 17-04. Resolution number 18-357, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 18-21. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Would anybody like to come up and discuss ordinance 18-21?
I have a question on it, if I can.
Can I close the
have to
public, I
wait?
need to close the
Okay,
public
that's
portion.
fine.
Motion to close public hearing for ordinance 18-21?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Mr. Bruno, you have a question?
So on this ordinance, I know the last time it was 900 and change, I think.
Yes.
And we were going to change the amount. And we were also going to have some sort of financial plan in terms of where it was coming from, what we were spending, what the tax impact would be, the taxpayers, along with the proposed 5 million plus in firehouse. So what is the amount of this bond?
$450,000.
So last time, did we approve 450 or approve 980?
We approved 450, that's why we were doing it again tonight. You had asked that it be reduced from 980 to 450.
Correct, but I didn't know that we had done it at that night. And is there a financial plan to accompany this, what we had asked for in terms of, where it's coming from and how we're funding it and what the game
Our
plan is?
new CFO spent her first day on the job today. She's in attendance. Mrs. Curran is here. I believe it's something you will be looking into in the next few days. We'll have an answer for us shortly, Bob.
So can we wait until we have an answer to see where it's coming from?
Well, the 450 is coming out of the prior ordinances that were already adopted.
So I'll let Bob just finish.
Go ahead, Mike.
So my question is, it's really not about the 450. I see where that is. My question is that we're going to expend 450, and we don't know if we're going to expend 6 million or we're going to expend 20 million, which I believe with the rough numbers that were presented by the administration is what we have planned for strategically in the town, and that includes the fire department, a firehouse, 2 trucks, multiple cycles of paving, a new DMF, some DMF capital equipment, new radios, the intersection, and off the top of my head, those are the ones that I could come
And the
up
$6
with.
million in bands that we're going to roll over.
Yes. So, to me, it's not about the 400,000, it's about the 20 million, and it's about understanding what burden we are placing on the taxpayers. And why spend 400,000 if we can't afford 6 million? And I'm not saying we can't or can, but I think it's important that rather than spend and approve 400,000, we understand what is the burden going to be on a taxpayer to take on this strategic plan? And do we want to take that on, or are there places where we are going to either be forced to cut, or we don't have the appetite to make that happen? So, again, to me, it's not about 400,000. To me, it's about 20 million. And if no one knows what the burden is going to be of $20 million on the taxpayer, I don't understand why we're even considering this. And that's my opinion. Also, I had a chance to speak to Mr. Conley, and the plan, in terms of next steps, I had some questions last meeting, and Michael, you answered some of them, as did the mayor. And when I spoke to Mr. Conley, I guess my question is, the 6 million includes the existing facility and the existing space. We have a plan to demolish the house. We have a plan, or I believe it's envisioned, that there would be a clawback of some of that property. Part of the firehouse may be relocated. It's not clear to me that 5.9 million includes, well, it is clear to me because Mr. Conley said it doesn't include anything to the west of the monument. So it doesn't include any work on the house, prepping the site. And, again, I think if we are going to speak to this and we're going to vote on it and we're going to have a discussion on it, I think it would be important that we understand, again, it's not 400, it's not 6 million, it is 20 million. And what is that burden going to be on a taxpayer in the township?
Thank you, Mr. Wellman. Ms. Curran has all the information that she received, the strategic plan, and all Bob's notes from the past today. Correct? And she's gonna continue on that, and hopefully, I'd say, would it be safe to say by early February, we should have an idea of what the tax burden will be for
Once you do your referencing of how we can appropriate, that's the 20 million.
Mike, that kind of answers the question of how much do we take out of the surplus to pay off the 6 million in bands? Remember, we had talked about that in our strategic plan. How much do we take out of the 6 million in bands and pay off right away without adding that to the 20 million and making the, maybe making it 17 million and paying 3 million off right away of the old stuff like we were talking about. So Judy's going to work on that. And Mr. Mayor, is it fair to say if we have that by February?
I won't claim to know the workload, this being Judy's first day.
I know, it's her
with,
first day.
Closing out the year and what we need for her for the budget for next year, including this. So preliminarily, I would say yes, but
Well, I think it has to be part of any discussion we have around the budget. again.
Because she's got to know what bonds are being retired from 20 years ago and all that, and take that to the tax implications that has, because we have a bunch of bonds that are coming off the books this year. So, there'll be excess there,
Certainly. I mean, we have,
but we need to know those exact numbers, and that's one of the reasons we finally have a full-time CFO to give us those numbers.
okay.
Right? And Mr. Bruno?
Yeah, I mean,
She has all your questions. I saw.
I've been asking for years, so
She's here.
hopefully, we can get some information, because when you start talking these kind of numbers, and unless we know where it's gonna phase in and how it's gonna be paid, the taxpayers, for the last 3 years, we've held our own and had decreases and 0 increase this year, but to go from that to a huge number, there needs to be a plan, services, how much it's gonna be, what's the scheduling, the debt. I don't know if there's a plan in place if that building gets knocked down, where we put our trucks and the people, and is there a plan in place for that? Do we know, Mayor? Like if the trucks, once we knock the building, where are these guys gonna put their trucks and house their trucks? And
A few things have been spoken about, nothing in concrete, because, again, the study that we're looking to phase, the next phase that we're looking to undertake, the gentleman in the audience can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's a 6-month at least study is what they said to get all that in place. And so, we have plenty of time to work those things out while the study's going on.
Well, quite honestly, if we're talking about the proposal, there's construction, procurement, and construction document phase of $160K, procurement of $20K, and construction of $80K. To me, why are we even considering that, funding that at this point, if we don't have the schematic or design? Again,
If you look at
if we want to advance this, I'm more than happy to fund this. I would ask that we don't provide Conley or RCA with approval to go beyond the design development until we agree on a design. I'm assuming he can't until there's a full design that's agreed with by the council, the fire department, the volunteer ambulance, and whoever else is going to be impacted by that building. So, we're funding a lot of money, we're approving a lot of money and I don't know if that is going to be utilized immediately. So,
Well, he's not gonna be able to bill us for the 3 last things you said until we get to that point, Mr.
Okay.
Holman. So that,
how much is it, Mike, the amount that you're looking at?
so the 400K has 60 and 80, so that's 140
140?
in schematic design and design development. And then the rest is construction documents, procurement, and construction. So,
So you're looking at 140?
well, we have to sign the contracts anyway, so we can keep it as is and just sign the first 2 phases, if everybody's okay with that, to get the ball rolling at least, so we know what the numbers will be once we get that far.
okay, so I am okay with
Are
that.
you amenable to that?
I'm amenable to that, but,
So the 140, just so I understand.
well, I think
Give
it...
or take a nickel or two.
I think it's going to be 400,
Yep,
but we're agreeing that the 140 has to be spent to get us anywhere,
yep.
which is the design
The
and the
concept is-
schematic.
And the schematics, yeah.
And it can't advance beyond that until there's full agreement, because there's no use doing construction documents if we're not going to move forward with it.
You
So,
okay with that, Dr. Cassio? Judy, can you sit up at the table?
Question I
Please.
have is, because I ran into this just previously where I was working. You might just want to, when you adopt the ordinance, it's only an authorization to spend. You're not spending that money right now. It does become a part of your overall debt. But you may want to do that, because say if they do start some work next year and you need to borrow, you have to have that ordinance in place. It's specific to what they're doing. And if you
Understood.
don't have that, you might run into a problem.
Well, we're going to pass, if you were amenable passing it as is, but without moving ahead to construction until we have more.
Yeah, I think we have to have, I mean,
Yeah.
ideally, we should have
The concept.
gates at the end of each phase to move it forward.
No, definitely you should. You should have dates, and then as you're going on, so. And
Yeah, we're going to pass the ordinance as is, but with the caveat that we're not going to go to construction design until we're all okay with the schedule, the financing and everything else like that.
Yeah, and, you know, I certainly would not support advancing this any further if we don't have a capital plan that matches the strategic plan that has been put forward.
Correct.
You wouldn't bond the whole amount, correct?
I
Or
would
you
try, I
bond-
would try not to. I would try to use whatever we could, I mean, because you don't want taxes to go up. And whenever you go into bonding,
Yeah.
you know, your taxes are gonna go. So you really want to try
I mean,
to,
that's the concern.
you know.
So we're gonna
And I
spend
know here
taxes.
taxes have been either stable, I think they even went down one year, am I right?
Yes.
2 years.
2 years.
Yes,
Yes, whatever.
it's a miracle,
The whole
I
idea
know.
was when, just in general, think about impact, you're gonna look at what the cost is gonna be divided by the number of residencies. And that's really what the impact is.
Certainly.
So that's what you're looking at. So you really want to try to get that number down as much as you can.
So we have to take that capital plan, realize what bonds are coming off this year, and then add the new debt to
Then add
it
the new
and
debt.
see what that changes and what
And
the
you might
delta
have in
is.
surplus to actually pay down.
Correct. Yeah, like some of that 6 million in bands we had talked about in our strategic plan of maybe we just pay it off instead of bonding it, just pay off
Pay
the
it off, because
bands.
you'll have less interest,
Yes.
that, interest payments that you have to make, you know, in the current budget.
Unfortunately, these bands from the past were a good deal, but the credit card's got to be paid now, and
No,
we're stuck with paying
they're
it.
not such a good deal anymore. The rates are going up.
Yes.
I mean, we just need a sound financial plan, because we haven't had one for years. We've been harping on it, and we're talking about huge numbers now. And it's just, you know, to put this out in any business, corporation, municipality, anything, no one should do it if you have a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers unless you know what the taxpayers are gonna pay.
Exactly.
Can't do it. It's
And
not
also,
right.
maybe not every project's got to be done at the same time.
Yeah,
I don't know what's-
agree.
is the
Well, if you
most
look at the
important-
plan, it's staggered, they're
It's
staggered.
staggered. Is the most important the DMF facility, is that for the
That's-
firehouse, or both at the same time, or?
About the intersection.
Up to us to decide.
Well, we have a regulatory
Issue with the DMF.
issue with the DMF that if it's not corrected, I'm sure the state will be knocking at our door. So,
Okay.
So if you look at the plan, you'll see that that's got a firm date, because if we don't complete the remediation, we'll be in violation again.
Does Sue have all that stuff, or?
That was the email that was sent to you today.
Okay, and she just told me when I was leaving, I didn't look at it, I was
Yeah.
doing, actually, I was spent most of the day with Joy going over all the accounts.
Yeah, you got it.
We got a lot done, believe me. All right, so I'll look at that email first thing tomorrow morning, that
And
has
I'll
everything
also
in it.
double check with Mr. Bruno, make sure that you have everything that he wants you to have.
Yeah, I think there was just one other spreadsheet I did that I'll find. It's on my home computer, I have to get.
I know there was 4 of yours and 2
Yeah, there was a
plans I
bunch.
created.
Yeah.
There was a bunch you got.
I couldn't see on my phone, so I'll look at it.
Yeah, there was, your master list with all your numbers was on there, I saw
Okay.
that, Bob, so. Motion to adopt ordinance number 18-21 its second reading by title. Do I have a motion?
May I just make a quick comment question before you just vote on? If this passes, what you're saying is you're in effect authorizing me to ask Connolly to just do that first phase of approximately 140,000.
Yes, is that what everybody's amenable to? Mr. Allman? Mr. Bruno?
I am. I
Mr.
am.
Bruno, are you amenable to that?
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure I understand it.
Yes, that's all.
Okay, that is the
Thank you.
marching orders.
Yep, thank you.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 18-21 its second reading by title. Do
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Council-
Yep.
Councilman Bruno?
Yep. Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. Ordinance number 18-22, an ordinance providing for criminal history background checks for adults involved with youth programs within the Township of Washington. Resolution number 18-358, authorizing second reading and opening of public hearing for ordinance 18-22. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Anybody in the public like to comment? Oh, I'm sorry, I do.
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Would anybody in the public like to discuss ordinance 18-22? Seeing no one, do I have a motion to close public hearing for ordinance 18-22?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President DeSenza?
Yes.
Okay, one comment. This was long overdue.
Yes, very long overdue. Motion to adopt ordinance number 18-22 at second reading by title?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President DeSenza?
Yes. Introduction, first reading, ordinance number 18-23, an ordinance restricting the sale of marijuana and related products within the Township of Washington. Motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 18-23 at first reading by title.
So moved.
But before we do that,
Can we have a second before
Second.
discussion?
Second.
well, I think it will matter, because there's an ordinance in front of us, and there was an ordinance in the packet. So I'm just trying to understand which one we're voting on.
We're voting on the one in front of you, Mr. Ullman. It's got the highlight on it, right, so they all are highlighted. A sentence was added by the police department's request this afternoon. It's in the first paragraph of 580-11.1 in section A. It's highlighted. That was the only change between the one you received on Friday versus the one that is on the dais today.
So when we have rolling paper here, are these stores supposed to get this out like in 20 days when this becomes effective or whenever? Or are they going to have a certain period of time? Or someone's going to march in, confiscate all their rolling papers, or what are we going to do?
Well, nobody's confiscating stuff. They're going to get, if
I
they're...
didn't think so, but I'm trying to figure out what the game plan is.
Well, the game plan is that if the code enforcement official would probably go in and notify them to stop selling it.
Mr. Cobb, you're doing-
Sorry?
Sorry.
As
I'm
of
sure
that,
that-
that day, that's it, they're done, they can't sell it as of that day?
Once the ordinance is effective, correct?
Okay.
We take the roll call.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
No.
Council President DeSenza?
Yes. Would anybody in the public like to discuss ordinance
No.
number?
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's first
First
reading, I'm
reading,
sorry.
So, do we know that there are specific batteries for these smoking devices, or are these generic batteries?
Do we know what? I didn't hear you.
Do we know that there are specific batteries for these devices, or do they take generic batteries?
I can't say I'm an expert at this, I'm not.
Well, we're saying that you can't sell electronic smoking device batteries, and if it's a AA, or...
No, I'm sure we're not going to be handing out summonses for
Well, that's your thought.
yeah.
I appreciate that hopefully calmer heads prevail, but that's not what it says. So I'm just trying to understand.
Well, it says electronic smoking device batteries, so I realize you're saying that a regular battery can go in there, and by extension,
I don't know.
you can't. You want me to put in a clause that says, but regular batteries are okay? Yeah, it's okay with me, no problem. I mean, I'm just putting together what you want, so.
Well, first of all, I don't want it.
I know that, I know.
So-
I realize that. I mean, I could put I could put a qualifier in that says it shall not prevent the sale of regular batteries, and so it seems it would be batteries dedicated to these things. Maybe they have special batteries, special size batteries, I have no idea. But I certainly could put a qualifier in that says, to take away the problem of selling general use batteries. I'll get some definition.
Maybe we can get a definition from Officer Calamari, and
yeah.
maybe why he included that.
Yeah, sure.
So then we'll wait until we get the clarification.
Well, you don't have to do that, because that's not a, that wouldn't be a, you didn't, wait, oh, you introduced this already, right?
Yes, we
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so what we can do, you already voted on it, so before the second reading, I'll come up with some language, throw it in there, and that would be a minor change anyway. That's not a major substantive change, so that you could have your hearing.
I think we just talked to,
Yeah,
Office Column.
yes, correct.
Figure
Yep.
that out.
Yep.
The other question I have is, and it goes back to the earlier discussions, not on this particular version of the ordinance, but the use of exclusionary zones around houses of worship, schools, public, facilities versus a blanket prohibition. Are we opening ourselves up to challenges by doing it this way, all zones versus those exclusionary zones that would effectively make it illegal in town?
Well, so the answer is, nobody knows yet, because these things haven't been, marijuana hasn't been legalized to be starting to be sold in the state, so nobody really knows. It seems like a lot of the towns are making an absolute ban, or at least a fair amount of ones are making an absolute ban. Some are doing it, using the number of feet from a school, that kind of stuff. It's the choice that the council did make to make an overall ban. So, the question, it's a good question, but nobody knows what the answer is going to be.
Okay.
And I would assume that once it happens and once it's tested, then we're going to get some guidance as to what will stand up and what won't, and then you can always change it.
Okay. And then the other question I had is, I think there was a comment by is it Lieutenant Calamari?
Yeah.
About a back door for medical marijuana and retail, or vice versa. This is a blanket, so this includes both recreational as well as medical?
Yes.
Blanket, no weed. Okay.
Mike, I just looked it up online. It seems like it's a specialized battery for the Juul.
Well, the Juul is just one. I
I
mean,
understand. I'm just saying the Juul.
not that I smoke, because I don't, but I've seen it on TV, and I believe there are devices that use standard batteries.
Resolution number 18-359, authorizing publication of ordinance number 18-23 and schedule a public hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Owen?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Individual resolutions. Resolution 18-360, authorize 2018 transfer of appropriation tree removal from rehabilitation of Memorial Field. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
When do we talk about this now?
You can talk about it now, Mr. Bruno.
So, last meeting, we had a $15,000 suggested transfer, which we did not vote on. That's gone, I assume, because the CFO will handle the close?
That's what the council asked for, so that's what we're doing.
What's that?
That's what the council asked for, so that's what we're doing.
So CFO will handle the close, and we don't have to transfer the money? Correct?
That's correct.
And then also, I have a question on one of the other receivables, but I don't know if I should ask it here or not, because we had two amounts, one for 300 and change and one for 200 and change, and we said, what were the two amounts, and are we writing this off, and was it money coming from our funds? Last meeting, there was a grant receivable, we were writing off for 355, and then the flip side was 250, and we didn't know why they didn't match, and we didn't know if this was money we were using to write off the receivable like we did before.
I asked our bond counsel that question, gave him the update on what is there, what's funded, what's not funded, and he's working to get that answer to both Judy and I.
Okay, so we don't have
It's
any.
not as easy to do, it's not very easy to research that far back, the status, so it's gonna take some digging on his part.
But we were asked to write this off, but we didn't know what it was, or?
The only information I had is what was in your packets.
So we didn't know what it was.
It does.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there were two amounts, it was a huge amount. My concern is that we already used 350 or 285, I forget, of good money to write off a grant receivable. And the question was, are we using good money to write this off, and why didn't they both match, and why is it even on the council agenda when we didn't know what it was?
Usually when you see a grant receivable, that old, you have to receive the money, that's what I researched, but that's.
Judy, can you come up now?
Judy, we need you, yeah,
Why don't you just stay there?
stay there.
I'm not questioning that.
No, I'm just saying,
I'm
that's
just-
normally, that's why we have to research it,
Right.
because I don't know why it doesn't match, but normally when.
But
you
right
have-
now, we're getting off on a separate tangent from
Yeah, so I didn't know if I
18-360.
should, I didn't know if I should ask the question then or now, or later, so that's why I asked, but that's, fine.
Later.
We can pick it up. Conference agenda, that's
You want to
fine.
pick it up later?
Yes, please. Stay there,
No,
please.
just sit
I
there.
don't know if I'm supposed to sit here, I don't know.
No, we want you there, you're
Okay,
here.
all right, that's fine.
It's the last time a CFO's been at a meeting since Jackie Doe, I think, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, okay.
Roll call for Resolution 18-360, unless anybody has any questions on it?
Just, is this enough? I mean, does this cover the work done for the library? Or was that covered by insurance? Or the library paying for it?
Well, the tree that hit the library is covered by insurance. The cleanup behind the library, yes, this transfer will cover that, as well as some secondary cleanup there, and some more cleanup that will be done at Gardner Field.
The tree fell and took out the center field fence at Gardner also. And there's more dead trees that are on the proximity of Gardner that haven't been touched in years. But I don't think they're addressed at this point. We're just cleaning up the mess, right?
It's gonna get a little bit colder out for the ground to harden for that to be taken down.
Okay.
So this would have to be done before year end, correct? Otherwise it rolls into surplus if we don't use it.
No, the money will be encumbered, so it'll be there.
So you'll encumber it all? Okay.
And just one last question. The trees that you're talking about, Michael, I know Mr. Sears went around with, I believe, a state arborist.
Yes.
Are these some of the trees that were
Yes.
identified?
They're all, a lot of them, Mr. Scuderi had asked.
Okay.
We didn't have enough money in the budget this year to take.
Perfect.
So, like, I think we took down like about 20 trees behind the library this year alone, between the Woodfield knockdown. We took, I think, 13 down, and this round was what, 6, Mr. Tova?
All the trees that came down this time, either by our hand or nature's, were all on the list.
Correct. They were all on the list.
Perfect.
And the ones at Gardner are on the list too, but we didn't have the funds, or it wasn't an emergency as it is now.
Okay.
Roll call?
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSantis?
Yes. Consent agenda, all of the following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Resolution 18-361, authorized refund of overpayments from CoreLogic in the total amount of $16,675.23. Resolution 18-362, appointment of wastewater collection system operator. Resolution 18-363, authorize appointment of municipal representative to the Bergen County Community Development Regional Committee. Resolution 18-364, opposition of a power plant. Resolution 18-365, commuter parking permits, firehouse parking lot. Resolution 18-366, designating time and place of 2019 council meetings. Resolution 18-367, authorized shared service agreement for purchasing of road salt. Resolution 18-368, authorized shared service agreement for purchasing of fuel for municipal vehicles. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Oh, before,
Oh,
Matt,
go ahead.
Wants to pull, though.
Right, believe Mr. Ullman will beat you to it.
Dr. Cassio can go.
Yeah, I'd just like to pull 364 for separate vote.
Okay, Dr. Cassio is asked to pull 18-364. Mr. Ullman, would you like anything else pulled?
Well, I just have a question,
Sure.
only because it's come up at some of the planning board meetings that I've gone to. The wastewater collection system operator, what does he cover for this appointment? Like, you know, is it only those items or those systems that are the towns, or does it go, you know, things that go to, don't we go to Hohokus and some other towns, Ridgewood? So is this for everything within our borders, or is it just those that are, I guess, carried through our gravity system, for lack
Well,
of
it's
a...
our complete system. It's whether it's gravity or pump, but we don't have any pump. So everything gravity within the confines of Washington Township.
Okay, and he would be,
He's the licensed, the state licensed operator that handles our system.
so we have in the Viviano,
He's not an engineer. He's a licensed operator. He just makes sure the sewage is flowing correctly.
so does he have responsibility in the new Viviano property?
When it's constructed, he will. If there's an issue there.
I met him twice when we were working on the Prospect Street sewer issue. Very capable, does it for other towns also.
We're just paying him to use his license, Michael. We need to have a licensed person, so municipalities either have somebody in-house that has that holds that license certificate, or we have to pay somebody outside to hold that license certificate. And in Washington Township, we pay this gentleman to do that.
No, understood. I'm just trying to understand
No,
the
I
scope of
understand.
his
Yeah, he's,
purview. Okay?
If you'd like, I'll see if I can get some more details for you if you'd like.
No, it's been explained.
would you like anything else pulled, or is that your only question?
That was my only question, yes.
So, Dr. Cassio, you want 18-364 pulled?
Just a separate vote.
Thank you. So we're going to vote on everything without 364.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Cassio?
Yes?
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President Pacino?
Yes. Dr. Cassio, what say you regarding 18-364?
I just want a separate vote on it, that's all.
Okay.
So,
Can I ask
Roll
who,
call.
who did we receive this from?
That came from the Bergen County League of Municipalities.
So for everybody's knowledge, a group from California would like to build a power plant in the Meadowlands to supply Con Edison requirements for Manhattan. So all the pollution and all that goes with this $1.5 billion power plant will be located in our wetlands in the Meadowlands with a direct underground pipeline to bring power directly into New York City. So I believe almost a lot of the municipalities in Bergen County and the state are passing resolutions in objection to this. So I had asked Sue to put this on when she received it.
So what are we doing?
We're going to pass the resolution to oppose the power plant construction in the Meadowlands.
No, I understand, but Steve pulled it, so.
Yeah, he wanted.
yeah, I want a
separate vote.
separate vote, because, you know, I read the data, and I don't think the data supports their conclusion. So I'd like it just
Okay.
pulled separately, so.
We're going to have a separate vote on 18-364, please, Sue.
Need a
I'll
motion?
make a motion for
A
it.
motion, please.
A motion.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Cassio?
No.
Councilman Ullman?
I'm sorry, let's go back a minute.
We're
This is-
voting in opposition of it.
You're voting in favor
Voting
of
in favor.
of the resolution to oppose the power plant in the Meadowlands, right, correct.
So we're voting to oppose it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I oppose it, however that
Right.
works out.
So you just voted?
You vote yes.
Yes.
You vote yes.
You voted yes.
Okay.
Councilman Ullman?
I'm voting yes to oppose it.
And Council President Pacino?
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. Adjournment to conference agenda, motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Calcio?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President Fasano?
Yes. Under conference agenda for December 17, 2018, under current business, Mr. Tova, could you present the project tracker?
Yes, sir, be happy to. Under capital projects, there are a few changes under the Scott bottles. They are currently in service by the fire department. In regards to 2018 road projects and programs, I'm working with Mr. Azzolino to make sure that all the costs are broken down, soft costs versus construction costs, and update the total cost due to some change orders. So we should have that done the next couple of weeks. I'll get that off to council prior, well, I don't want to say prior to the next meeting, but if I have it compiled before that, we'll send that electronically.
So then, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Mr. Mayor, is it possible that going forward, on top of the project tracker, can we have a report by Mr. Azzolino with the number of building issues he responded to for the month and a status on every project that he's working on, please?
Just a summary or?
Summary, just a quick little, I received 40 building home applications for soil, and I reviewed 28 of them, and I'm still delinquent on 12, or?
I met with him, and that's one of the things we already met about, so, yeah,
Okay.
not a problem.
Mr. Tova, do you know when Mr. Azzolino has a completion date for Woodfield and Sussex with the iron?
He does not have a completion date as of yet, but they are working towards it.
And do we know when the stop signs will be changed?
Stop signs, we are in the process of doing a bulk order for all the signs that we
But I
need.
thought we had requested that every time we do a DOT grant, that I know you weren't here for this, but the council, and I believe the mayor said it was okay, that anytime we had a DOT grant, we would redo the signage on the street with the DOT grant money.
I would agree, it should be included in the cost. The signs that I thought you were referring to.
You were talking about the town-wide sign.
Right, the
I'm talking
large-
about the signs along Woodfield, around Sussex, that we had a
Let me,
DOT grant.
I'll discuss that with him.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a question? And Mr. Tovo, you may have stated it. You mentioned something about the Scott bottles. I guess my question is, what is the status? We've issued a PO and we're expecting these?
They've already been purchased and they're in service.
Okay.
Is that the first purchase we did for these this year?
It was the purchase we did. It shouldn't be on here, it just got carried over in error. But it's been, you guys have had them for a number of months, right? Yeah.
Okay. And the other question, the radio system upgrade analysis, currently reviewing options between state, county, or our own system. Didn't we authorize a study by a consultant? And is that what he's doing, or?
That's correct. The option before us would be through a state or county system as part of, or a standalone system of our own.
And is he going to make a recommendation? Is he laying out the three options and our emergency services are going to evaluate it? I guess what's the next step here?
He is assisting us in the process of working with the state and the county to test their respective systems, to see how they would work for us and what upgrades we would be responsible for to be on their system. All of our first responders are involved with this process, so they will be the ones testing the radios to ensure it's giving them the coverage they need. And then once we determine which is our best option, he will guide us through the licensing and purchasing and everything that will go along with it.
Can we make sure we don't forget the DMF radios?
Yeah, they're in there.
They're included as well.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Towns always have a bad habit of forgetting the DMF, and all of a sudden everybody gets new radios, and all our trucks have the wrong radio, so.
Is it, would it be okay, I see the director, the fire director and the fire chief here, can I ask them a question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I don't know if you-
Don't know that they'll have the answer,
No.
but certainly ask.
I mean, it's just a brief question. So the administration has stated, not that I don't believe them, but in terms of your involvement, are you satisfied with your involvement to date with this selection? And two, are you familiar with these options, and do you have a preference at this point, or are you still waiting to see what is available?
Well, one, so far we are satisfied. Two, yeah, I want to look at all the options. We had previously looked at the county system several years ago, and we weren't happy with how that was going. One of the other options that Matt Cavallo had brought up, that they used in Wayne, Vernon, I don't remember which it was the state police system, another option. And obviously, just keeping what we have and just upgrading the existing. So I want to see what this guy comes back with, because I'm not too familiar with the state police system. So I want to see how it looks.
And I could be misspeaking, but did Westwood recently do an upgrade of their radio systems?
I have no idea.
You don't? Okay, I'll find that out. All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you, gentlemen. Anything else on the project tracker, Mr. Toto?
That's all I have to report.
Can we just, on the project tracker, Mr. Mayor, can we ask Mr. Azzalino where we are with the ADA curb cuts for county roads?
Yes, of
Because they
course.
still haven't been completed, and we're into December.
Yeah.
And I know we had pushed to get them done this year so we can get paid for next year,
Yes,
and I guess we haven't met that deadline.
yeah.
The upgrades for the catch basins.
That's,
Yeah.
that's what.
Yeah.
Mike, may I ask some questions?
Sure, Mr. Bruno.
So, just going back to the road program, I had asked to do a reconciliation. I think you said, Bob, I think you said you were doing that with Mr. Azzalina, how much we've spent, bonded, what's left over, how much we have available? Because I think we put a number of 750 or 800, this is 509. I think last year we were a little light and moved some money into this year. So we need to really understand what we really have for roads. And then also, I'm not really sure which roads are left to be done. And there's also several roads that we have insurance issues on, I guess, or however you want to phrase it, that are cracked in the middle that someone's supposed to take care of, which I don't think they've been taken care of yet either. So I think this whole road program, besides saying we're going to pave X, Y, Z, we have to see what's left, how much money's left, and all the roads that cracked already.
Well, my understanding from Mr. Azzalino is all the roads that were scheduled to be paved this year have been completed. There were some change orders involved, so he and I are reconciling what the final dollar amount is, which I will report to you as soon as we have. This is the first I'm hearing of any roads that there were failures on after paving was done, so there should be retainage there. We have to hold back any funds.
Yeah, there's a bunch of roads. You can go, I don't know, somebody can go the minutes and find out who's been complaining, but there's a lot.
Mr. Tova, I'll call you tomorrow on that.
Thank you.
I have the list, Bob.
And
Also on the solar-powered pedestrian signs, where are they actually going?
Bob, if I can just make one more comment on the roads. We reached out to Chris Steele's office last week because he had the couple of color-coordinated maps as to what roads were done in what year. So he's supposed to be sending them to us so we can upgrade them with this year's and build on it for future
Okay.
years.
Maybe it's something to present to the residents too, with the colors, so they know where we are. I
Sure.
think that would be helpful,
Yeah, we'll put it on the website.
and the dollars, so. So on the solar-powered pedestrian signs, where exactly are they going to be placed?
The bulk of this purchase will be for signs by Memorial Field on Pascack Road
And what about the intersection?
and the high school as well. And there will be signs that are movable, that will be put at targeted locations throughout the year.
And what about the intersection area, Pascack and Washington? I mean, I watched a woman try to get across the street. I was with my wife, and she took a life into her hands trying to run across the street. Nobody was stopping for her. I mean, are we going to have signs there too? That's where we always wanted them. Those people have to get in and out of the parking and the buses.
I think it'll be very difficult to put the signs down there because the intersection is so tight already. But because they are movable, we can look at that.
But you wouldn't want to put the signs up now if we're going to reconfigure.
These are
So
just,
that's
these are
the
just the
movable ones.
these are just the portables that go in the
Yeah.
middle of the double yellows. I mean, it's not the end of the world. We can move those anytime.
Okay, staying on the signs for a minute, the sign that they put on Washington across from the bus hut by Jackson, I've had some complaints from residents that when they come out of Jackson to head west, they just see the sign, and it blocks some vision for them. And I understand it's a county sign, it's not our sign. But if you're coming out of Jackson, making a left and going west toward the parkway, there's a blind spot with that sign, so you don't see the cars. You know, you catch them if they're coming off, but once they're in the road, they disappear behind that sign. So it's not the place where it should be, although good intentions were there, but just the wrong spot. But that's a county sign, so can we look into that, please?
Sure.
Thank you. That's all I have. For me, thank you.
Anything else, Dr. Kennison?
No.
Mr. Alman, anything else on Project Tracker?
No, thanks.
Moving on, best practices fiscal year 2018, 2019. Mr. Tova?
I'm sure council's very familiar with this. It must be submitted every November to the state, and it must be subsequently scheduled for a review by council after November. Open for questions. It's pretty straightforward. We fill it out every year.
I don't have any questions. Gentlemen, do you have any questions on this?
I probably do, I just didn't have a chance to look at it. I mean, the biggest thing is I just want to make sure I'm in compliance with fixing our audit recommendations from 16 should have been done in 17. It's always been an issue that we never get them completed. So we get audit points for 16, which should have been corrected in 17, and we've answered yes to it.
Well, the time that I filled this out, I thought we were complying with everything, including the last resolution that you had questions about from the prior meeting. But we didn't pass that, so therefore, that one question would change. But it wouldn't affect our total score for state funding.
It would not affect that?
It would not. We're far enough above the threshold.
Plenty of points. Not that we should leave anything to unfulfilled, especially with the audit, to Bob's point, because I think that's, of all the things, that's probably the most important on this whole list of things to be compliant and sending to the state. So I hope that becomes completed with our new CFO and our auditor, okay, looking into that together. But as long as we meet the threshold, we're well above the threshold.
Right.
For, I think when I first came on, we weren't close. We were behind the 8 ball a lot, but we're doing pretty well. But that is a key point to this, and I know we're going to get it corrected.
And that really is the point of this document, is to remind you these are the things that we need to keep an eye on.
Right. So again, that's to Bob's point of all the things on this list, the best practices, good, sound financial plan and audit is necessary, and hopefully we get that completed this time.
Thank you. Item number 3, proposal for professional services, athletic field inventory and needs assessment. I've asked the mayor to table that until we get additional proposals. So,
Yeah, I mean, I would just ask, does anyone have any issues conceptually? Did anyone look at the bid for the one that we got the bid for, and, you know, does it meet the criteria that you all think it should to evaluate the fields and usage of them? If not, I ask you, please look it over before the next meeting, and we'll have more information.
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I didn't get a chance to look at it, but I will definitely put it on the radar for the next meeting.
Bob, you had asked for a leaf collection update?
Wait, Matt,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
so did we go out for a bid, or we specifically went to T&M?
We specifically went to T&M, and that's part of why I'm asking to table it, is I probably want to get at least 1, maybe 2 more quotes on it.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Allen?
Do we have the scope of the last one we did? the request, so I don't even know,
The
what
last
is
one
it,
we
J&R?
No,
not
it was
MKW.
MKW, but unfortunately, MKW did it inside a vacuum and never included any of the organizations in it. And that's one of the things we'd ask the mayor to include this time, is to actually speak to the organizations that use the fields.
Okay.
So,
I have to disagree. I don't think that's what happened. There was limited discussion with organizations. Maybe baseball wasn't included.
and a lot of other organizations.
But
And us-
there was inclusion with the rec board, Michael.
No,
I know, I was there.
not
Me-
enough.
Me and, well, maybe not enough, but me and Mr. Beckmeyer made sure that there was.
We needed more.
Okay? So, more is always better,
Yes.
sometimes.
Mr. Bruno, you would ask for a leaf collection update. Mr. Tovo, do you have an update for us?
Yes, sir, I do. DMF has completed 2 full rounds of pickup, currently in round 3, which is our mop-up phase, where we go back to zones 1 through 3 and clean up what's ever been deposited at roadside after rounds 1 and 2 are done. Inspecting our progress last week and today, I'm pleased with where we are and confident that we will have this wrapped up by the end of the week.
So just a question on this. I mean, there are some blocks that have a tremendous amount, actually where the former mayor lives. I don't even know what block that is, but there's a huge,
Yeah,
that's not a
Gabriel.
cleanup, there's huge piles there, but.
Yeah, there's a lot of trees on that street.
Yeah, and there's some, but generally, when we go into a zone, I know we're behind the 8 ball this year, but when we go into a zone to pick up leaves, what's the amount of equipment that goes in there to pick up the leaves and the amount of personnel?
We've been running with 3 loaders and either 2 garbage trucks and a container, or 2 containers and a garbage truck. So 3 full teams.
And seasonal help, how much seasonal help did we have for this project?
We've only had 3, I believe. And an additional seasonal employee started today.
And we had enough CDL drivers?
No, we're light there.
That's always been the issue, so
Yeah,
do the seasonal guys or the women have CDL licenses?
I think only one of them does.
So are we, is there a plan for next year, obviously, to, I know we're behind the 8 ball, some of the trucks were down, something's in service, et cetera, but.
But we've certainly learned a lot by this year's experience. Obviously, being down equipment has forced us to look at what else we can use. The containers have worked very well for us.
Yeah.
And it's really sped up the process. But the key really is to get out ahead of this equipment-wise, make sure everything is ready to go before leaf season really kicks in. The additional personnel, both full-time and part-time, will be very helpful as well. And I think that, in the past, we've relied more heavily on the leaf vac, and with it being out of service, we realized that that's one of the pieces that would normally slow us down.
The leaf vac?
Yeah. I mean, there are spots it's good for it, but the general cleanup, once it's at curbside, it slows down the process.
I mean, I think, I remember talking about the leaf vac years ago, and I just felt I thought the piles were too big for the leaf vac.
Many times that's true.
Yeah.
And if there's anything in those piles other than leaves, it slows it
Yeah,
down.
which everybody does, so.
Immensely, yeah.
I think if we look at the progress we made over the last 2.5 weeks, we can really learn from that and get better at this going forward.
And the seasonal help was hired way before the leaf started, or during it, or when did we bring the helpers in, the seasonal helpers?
Well, we've already in one, we've been looking to fill one position. We only recently found someone. That person started today. So prior to that, we were still working with, understaffed seasonal employees.
And is this, Dr. Cassio, is this something that you and Mr. Cumming are looking at for shared services?
Yes. Yeah, that's going to be one of the probably main focuses on sharing DMF equipment, because that's probably one of the easiest ones we can do. We did use a lot of Emerson's. We'd use their roll-offs.
We did, yes.
I just want to thank the Salamandas and
Yes.
Emerson for lending us their roll-off
Yes.
trucks, because
So-
our leaves would be in a lot worse shape if it wasn't for Emerson and the county.
So-
And the county is not picking up the leaves, ladies and gentlemen. We're just using their trucks.
So, yeah, that's one of the focuses, Bob, with shared service.
Okay.
Just one follow-on to that. Would it be too late in the year to have a street cleaning at this point?
It's certainly on my list of things to try to get done prior to the weather taking that complete turn. And I've already discussed it with the mayor and with DMF. Once cleanup's done, if we have time to do that, we certainly will.
Okay, thanks.
We're still utilizing parameters for that?
We are, yes. And Mr. Bruno, to your remark on the CDL, we're making a conditional, or a conditional employment. They have 1 year to get that CDL.
For any new full-time hires.
Okay.
How about part-time or seasonal? You gonna make that a condition?
We are doing with all employees, full and part-time.
And seasonal, it's a little harder, obviously.
Yeah, it's a little,
because they're-
very, very difficult, but I
Right.
figured, if you put it out
You need
there.
a body.
Well, if you have an applicant pool of 10, you need 3.
Right.
Obviously, if they have more qualifications, they would get
Correct.
bumped up in the
Preference, right.
preference, yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Bruno, you had trees and equipment. Is that all wrapped up with everything we've been discussing, or do you have specific items you'd like to?
Well, the
talk about?
equipment is wrapped up. The trees, I just, I know we're looking behind the library, but somebody really needs to look at the town. I mean, I've been saying this for years also, but there's a lot of stuff looks like it's ready to go against the electrical wires. So as long as somebody's looking at everything, that's fine.
It's a big number item that we need to discuss in next year's
I
budget.
agree. I've been trying to get it in for years after years after years, so it has to be done.
Yeah, and that's also part of what we transferred last meeting to the green team, so they can take that to the next level, to do the tree evaluation and come up with a written report for us, so we know next year what we're in for.
Snow removal plan, Mr. Bruno?
Yeah, so obviously that's our next project, and I had looked into, my thought process actually was two things. One, we have $100,000 in a snow removal fund that hasn't moved for years, and we're responsible for the county roads, but the county reimburses us. So my thought process a year or so ago was to outsource the county roads, have the county reimburse us for whatever, and then if there was some money needed from our fund, to obviously pay the outside contractors, and then just see how the plan went, because I think that will allow the DMF or DPW to get into these roads and these back roads immediately and not have to worry about the county roads. So that was something I had looked into with the former mayor
Mr. Bruno, I had
2 years ago.
sent you an email a couple months back, Mr. Bruno, with Hillsdale's private contract for additional snow plowing at $450 an hour.
But was that the whole town, or was that just county?
That's
Roads.
any road within the confines of Hillsdale.
Yeah, well, this
So-
was county roads only.
Yeah, but the county will only reimburse us $90 per hour, not $450, so,
For the county roads, though.
yes.
Right. So, and we have.
So there's a big disparity, but if we're
No, I
paying
understand.
$450 versus getting reimbursed $90, there's a big disparity there.
Correct, but if we have $100,000 that's sitting in a fund for 5 years, use it, see what happens, and see if it works.
Why don't we use it for additional trucks or men for our department rather than
Well, you can't
offsetting
use,
the
you
county?
can't use it because it's in a trust fund, so you can't use it for that. It's specific for a snow removal fund. Unfortunately, that's the way the town works, the municipalities work, so you can't buy trucks, you can't get people. I'm not that I'm saying it's the wrong thing, but that's what I'm told for 5 years, you can't do.
Bob, what does the ordinance say specifically when you say snow removal fund? It's only for personnel?
No, it's for snow removal, it's a trust fund, I think.
Okay.
Is it in a trust? Is it in a trust fund?
I don't.
It is a trust fund.
It's a
It's a
trust
trust
fund.
fund.
Yeah,
And is
and the
that-
trust funds are very specific, but, when you ask the question, everybody has to go look at the trust fund from 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Does anybody know how they're
Well,
in
Yeah.
plus,
No, it
I
didn't
I think it was
exist that
payments
long
from
ago.
the county.
from the county?
Yeah, for the most part. And what I told our payroll person, because I was signing off the vouchers for the last snowstorm, or the only snowstorm we've had, where there was a lot of overtime, I told her to take that money from the snow removal trust, because that is a valid thing to take it from. So I told her any snow removal overtime, take it against that trust line item.
But my question is it for anything to do with snow removal, or is it only personnel?
I
This
believe,
one-
Can you use it for equipment?
I just asked that.
You cannot use
no.
it. Yeah, you cannot use it for equipment.
No, I don't
You
think
can't,
you
that's
can.
capital.
Okay.
This trust came about after a storm in the mid-2000s where we were expecting federal reimbursement and we didn't receive it.
Right.
So there was a big nut for every town in the state to pay. So as a result of that, the state allowed every municipality to set up a snow removal trust for the removal of snow, not the equipment to
Remove the stuff, okay.
You know, get somebody, then I would agree with Bob. Set it up, and if we need extra trucks, we can hire them out. $100,000.
Yeah, but we're paying $450 an hour. I mean, that's a disservice to our
But
tax.
we'll happily take a
Yes.
look at this.
Well, you know, whatever's more cost effective. I'm not saying,
No. The contract that Hillsdale has.
I know,
they're
I
paying
saw the contract.
$450 versus us getting reimbursed $90. So you're talking putting $360 of our taxes.
you're missing the point. You're missing the point. You already have $100,000 there that you have to spend on personnel. I'm not talking getting
Yeah, but
reimbursed
if
from
we
the
do
county.
it, if we do just paying overtime in the future, that's a lot, we can get rid of that.
Doesn't work. It doesn't work. I mean, how's it?
I mean, I think we're in compliance in terms of, as of now.
Yes.
Yeah, and as far as if there are any testing of any more, water source, water, drinking water, they do that.
Okay.
But I don't even know if there is, when this next one is. I think we're fine for the time being.
Okay.
And I will be talking to the gentleman who came here because he's going to have to testify late in February, so I'll be talking to him. at
I
least
mean, yeah, if we could ask if there's, understanding the end game, if there's
Interim
or intermediates that we need to do.
And just speaking of Quest, when, excuse me, when I was talking to Paul Azzolina about our road paving program and paving the DMF parking lot, he indicated it was not just overlooked, but it is, I'll use the wrong word and say a challenge or something extra to repave where the monitoring wells are, and some of them are in that parking lot area. So he has to work with Quest to do whatever to, yeah.
We'll leave it at that, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor.
yeah.
Okay.
Use of facilities, continuation. Dr. Cassio, you and Mr. Cumming are working
Yeah,
on
I'm
it?
going to table that until Art comes back and we can have a more robust discussion.
Okay. The Green Team has asked us to look at ordinance 14-03 to amend to include smoke-free zones, but not limited to vaping, e-cigarettes, tobacco chew, etc. They'd come to Sue about that.
What does that mean?
So we have all the fields in town are basically supposed to be smoke-free, but it doesn't specifically say vaping and e-cigarettes and all that. So the Green Team has asked us to look into that. And I guess if Mr. Pollard can give some guidance on what other towns have done with this.
Well, what they want to do is they just want to include vaping.
Yes,
because they already have
vaping,
smoke.
e-cigarettes and
It's
all
like
that. Yeah, because people are saying that.
Just expanding the use.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay.
Is it smoke-free or tobacco-free? So like chewing tobacco, would that be, is it contemplated that that also be
That's what
controlled?
that's what they had asked, yeah. That's what tobacco, I believe, is Mr. Alvin. But we could ask the Green Team if that's what.
Yeah,
they want.
just the scope.
Chewing tobacco too?
Yeah, they had tobacco in there too. I know Little League will, we're
I mean,
not,
smoking tobacco, but I mean, chewing tobacco is no
Yeah.
good? Oh, really?
It's a tough one.
Nicotine.
Whoever still does it, but.
Mr. Ullman, you have the next one for promotions of the police department procedure?
Yeah, so actually, this is not only promotions, but hirings and promotion. I guess earlier in the year, we had the opportunity to hire a new officer, and we've recently had, I believe, 2 rounds of promotions. I had some questions about that. I had approached the mayor to see if the chief and the director, who I believe are the 2 parties responsible for both hiring and promotions, if they would be available. And I did not hear back, or I actually heard back from Mayor Calamari, and he was looking to schedule something that never came about. And what I've done is included a copy of, or Sue has included a copy of the Wayne appointment of members as well as promotions. And these are In reading them, you'll see they're pretty onerous. They are, but very thorough. And I wonder, as we have, as a council, been involved with some promotions within the borough, or more, I guess, more correctly stated, hirings within the borough, and are aware of the process, yet it is behind a closed door, for lack of a better term, for the police department. I thought we could consider codifying both the hiring and promotion of police officers. So this document is from Wayne Township. I believe they have a similar governing body as we do, or similar, they're organized similarly to the Township of Washington. And what I'd ask everyone to do is to look at these, see if this is something that you would like to take on. And if it is, perhaps at the next meeting, if we could get a straw poll of the council, if it's something that they're interested in taking on. And if it is, then we can determine the best way to move it forward, whether it's us doing it in a vacuum or, you know, engaging the director and the chief on these items.
What's the long and short of it, Mike?
Well, the long and short of it is, you know, do you know how we selected our last hire? Do you know how the last promotions were determined? And,
Well, I understand how they were. I don't know. I mean, the director and the chief recommend people to the mayor, and the mayor approves them.
and
I don't know about the hire, but I think it's the same.
the criteria used.
No clue.
Okay. So that's my question.
Gotcha. I agree.
So if we, I mean, that's my only comment. I don't know if anyone has any comments immediately, but I'd like to ask Sue if we could have this on the agenda for next meeting, and if everyone would be prepared to say it's something they're interested in exploring, or it's something that we feel works today and there's no need to explore it further.
Thank you, Mr. Holman.
Mike, I have a few comments and questions. I didn't schedule the meeting because it bordered on personnel issues, the way it was presented to me. If you want to do it in closed session and you want to rice people, I have no problem with it. But the way it was presented to me, it was bordering on closed, and so that's why I didn't schedule anything for public. I read through this Wayne ordinance. I'm not sure if you would take it verbatim or make changes to it, but the size of the Wayne department is over 100 people. To me, things change when you get up into that size department, as opposed to, you know, a smaller department
Certainly.
like us. You know, I don't know how long that ordinance has been in effect for them, if it's relatively new, how many promotions they've done under it. You know, I see that, you know, that some of it, I'm sure, gets very costly, because there's reference to police chief boards and like that, which don't come cheap. So I would just ask the council to keep all that in mind when reviewing this Wayne ordinance, not that you plan on taking it blindly and just saying that's the one we'll use, but those are just a few of the questions I came up with in reading it myself.
Pete, just to your point, I don't think that it would be a closed session matter, because we're not talking about personnel, we're talking about, in specifically, but we're talking in general, so I don't think that's really an issue, to be quite honest with you.
The way it was presented to me,
Okay.
it was one topic was bordering on personnel.
All right. I would disagree. If that's the way it was presented,
Yeah.
and interpreted that way, I can understand. But
Yes.
I don't think that was the intention, as far as I know.
Well, Mr. Pollard, if we were to let's just, if we
It's
went
more
back.
procedural than anything.
Well, if we went back in time and brought up the three people, and said we're talking about the promotions, you'd have to rice the last
Oh,
three
if you're
promotions.
talking about promotions, that would, of
Correct.
course, yes.
You'd have to
yeah.
rice those people.
Yes, yeah. If you,
We're
yeah.
moving forward, not going
No,
back.
we're talking about past promotions, we'd have to rice the people
Right.
that were promoted in the past.
Are we talking about that?
No, I think he's talking about a prospective ordinance, aren't you?
Prospective?
Yeah, I don't believe we can
No, you
Yeah,
can't
no,
go back, so.
revisit history.
No, okay, that's, again, I'd like to keep this in open as much as possible. Anything, regardless what the topic is.
I mean, if it gets to that point, we can rice them and then use them as examples as to what possibly not to do.
Better to over-rice than
What
under-rice.
to do if it works.
Right, and what not to do, both.
Anything else, Mr. Ullman, on that? So you'd like it on the agenda? Could we put it on the second meeting in January, since the Sunday is the first meeting?
Sure.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
I know Sue was gonna ask, but I beat her to the punch.
It's gonna be good. Thank you.
The strategic planning, I just wanted it left on there. With Judy being here now, in the next several months, she's gonna look at the plan and hopefully put some dollars and cents to it, and we'll continue with that. Dr. Cassio and Mr. Cumming are still working on shared services with other towns and continue on that.
Yeah, we'll continue when ARC comes back.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Before, can I just ask one? There were some excerpts from minutes in a package. Were they provided for anything specifically, or was it just?
It was just a discussion about the firehouse and some of the numbers on the ordinance and what was being funded, so that was what I came across in discussion of, in minutes.
Okay.
It's just for informational purposes.
Okay,
But that's it.
Is that all, Mr. Ullman?
that was it.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Capio?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Our next regular meeting of the Township Council will be the Sunday meeting and the annual reorg meeting, Monday, January 7, 2019, beginning at 7:30 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
If there's one. I like to see it.